If you've ever had to call 911 for yourself or for a loved one, it goes without saying you would want experienced people to show up. But what does experience actually mean? Hi, Blake here from Life Simulator. Today I'm going to try to shed some light on the concept of experience. Now obviously we're familiar with this word, but did you ever wonder how it forms in the brain? How is experience even stored in the brain? I'll also go over briefly some of the training challenges we face in public safety and demonstrate how some of our own training methods are holding us back from gaining experience. Now, how do I get more experience? The best way to understand experience is that it's a pattern. Our brains are giant pattern recognition machines. And a clue that we use when we commonly talk about someone to understand this, someone who is more experienced, we say, well, he's been around the block, or she's seen it all. She's seen it all. We're talking about sensory details. And over time, these sensory details, as you're exposed to them, they start to form a pattern in your brain. And this pattern is something significant. And ultimately, that pattern, when you're able to recognize it, is experience. Now, it's important to note, this is not a real pattern, right? This is just a crude picture and some text box. That's not the real thing. It's like pointing to a map of New York or LA for a couple hours, looking at it and saying, yeah, I understand New York, I get LA. It's not the real thing. It will not make you more experienced. And we're going to come back to this point later on. You may ask, why are these details so important? Couldn't you just make a game where firefighters have to spot a fire and put it out? Well, our job is much more complex than that. To illustrate it, I use the pit crew analogy. Imagine this car is the patient or the patient's illness, and it's what we're focused on. And each crew member here represents a lecture or a series of lectures. These are complex, multifaceted, and interrelated disciplines that must be engaged instantly. We don't get to hit pause on a fire ground for 5 minutes, and I can't stop the muscle tissue in your heart from dying for 5 minutes while I try to figure out what's wrong with you. So let's take a brand new rookie and compare his brain to a 25-year veteran and see what's the difference between them. Well, the veteran's going to have access to a large amount of patterns that he has stored up in his brain over his long years of service. Whereas the rookie, try as he might, only has access to theoretical knowledge. But is there a way to augment his experience so that it takes him less time than 25 years to become 25 years experienced? And how does he currently train? So let's talk about training in fire and EMS and some of the challenges we have. We do have effective training, but there are high costs that go with it. This is the typical training you associate with fire and EMS. However, you're setting things on fire. This takes time, money, and people to organize, so as a result, we can't do it that often. The other side, the things we can do every day, aren't very effective. So we'll go into the training room and maybe we'll do some protocol training. And it's easy enough for us to memorize the sequences of treatments that we want to use when we maybe say have an allergic reaction. And we'll go and do all these things we need to take care of. But as we go to recognize this problem, look at these details. They're not very good. This is just written word. That's respiratory distress. But respiratory distress doesn't look like that in the real world. It doesn't look like text. That's just a rough approximation. This is respiratory distress. It's that critical difference in the training methods we have, the lack of details, which hold us back from gaining experience in the fire service. And ultimately, new technology is going to have to come out to help change this. It's professionally infuriating that a 10-year-old with an Xbox has access to more technology than we do in public safety. And hopefully soon, someone is going to change that. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. I'm going to go into greater detail about the challenges we face in training in a different video. Also, if you found this video interesting and you want to know more, you can visit my website, thelifesimulator.com. There's also a link to a GoFundMe there where you can throw me a couple bucks if you want to help with development. Thanks again and be safe.